Nithyanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tam Namami. Humble obeisance at the sacred lotus feet of our beloved Guru, the living incarnation of Paramashiva, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Nithyanandam, we welcome each and every one of you gathered today on this very auspicious occasion of the Tamil New Year's Day, and a very special day for Sri Kailasa, the Hindu nation, where 3 temple monastery complexes, 3 Kailasas, the Uniting States of Kailasa, are celebrating their respective anniversaries today. And the highlight of it all is today is the very day Bhagavan, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam, established and inaugurated the first historic temple. It was in a place called Tiruchengod on the banks of the sacred river Kaveri, way back on the 14th of April 2001. And from there started the saga of Tyaga, of sacrifice, where the public declaration was made by the incarnation to humanity to establish the only Hindu nation, Sri Kailasa, and deliver the superconscious breakthrough through it to the entire humanity. And today is also the 13th anniversary of the Kailasa in Ohio, the Ohio Adinam, and the 3rd anniversary of the Kailasa in Kozhikode in Kerala. So today is a very auspicious day, and we are all very eager as we prepare ourselves to receive today's message from Bhagavan on this auspicious day. Today's topic, what we're going to discuss, is too relevant to each of us in our life. A topic well known but very less understood, or rather misunderstood. The topic is Tyaga, a very broad translation of it in English, which makes it to be misunderstood is the word sacrifice. Let us understand what Tyaga really is, directly from the words of Bhagavan. Before that, just one thing we want to share with you. Tyaga, as we commonly understand in society, as taught to us by society, is whatever you are fond of, or whatever you may like in your life, or whatever you possess, if you part with it, if you give it up for the sake of the other, then that is Tyaga, sacrifice. So we know that we can sacrifice our wealth, we can sacrifice our passion in life, we can sacrifice any items or objects that we love and which we possess, and we can sacrifice any of our, let's say, we had an appointment to do something, but for the sake of some other person, we give it up and we do something for them. So doing something for the other, all of this is the common societal Tyaga that we know about. And in all of this, there is no real conscious growth that's happening. Rather, there is a subtle ego fulfilling that happens. That is the societal Tyaga that we know about. But actually, from the Shastras, from the Hindu scriptures itself, as defined by Paramashiva himself, and as demonstrated, experienced, and radiated by all the rishis of Kailasa, the great enlightened civilization that once lived, which is documented in all of their lives, that Tyaga, what is that? That is what we need to imbibe in our life, because that will give us the superconscious breakthrough. what is the real Tyaga? The real Tyaga, as defined by Paramashiva, which we can read in all the sacred Hindu scriptures, is sacrificing your lower level existences so that you can go to the next frequency of existence and ultimately the frequency of Paramashiva himself. So in the process of having the superconscious breakthrough and your journey to having the oneness with Paramashiva, Tyaga is the only thing you need to do. Because for you to become Paramashiva, the only thing you need to drop is all the existences below it. So dropping any of your current level of existence and the next levels as you evolve higher and catch the higher rung, dropping that immediate lower rung of existence is Tyaga. This is the straight definition of Tyaga because anything in Sanatana Hindu Dharma will straight address your superconscious growth, your oneness with Paramashiva. Therefore, Tyaga is the straight definition for Tyaga as per Paramashiva is dropping everything that's below the state of Paramashiva. That is real sacrifice because we identify ourselves with all of those lower level existences and we think we are that. Without knowing that is what is causing the separation from the Paramashiva state. Without knowing that is what is causing us real suffering. So waking up to that and dropping it is the actual Tyaga. So understand that Tyaga will never give you pain. That Tyaga will never give you ego fulfillment. That Tyaga will never feel you gave up something. It will give you joy and powerfulness because you understand, because you dropped it, you did Tyaga of that, you jumped in the rung towards becoming one with Paramashiva. So that is why the Tyaga gives so much of joy in its true meaning and sense. Whereas the societal Tyaga that we know always comes with either an ego fulfillment or a pain or something that you gave up. Not in so much of a positive connotation, but in a rather negative connotation. Whereas the real Tyaga will only wake you up and make you so joyful and powerful. So this is the definition of Tyaga we need to understand. Then, how does Paramashiva become Tyaga Raja, which is a topic for today for our Paramashivoham level 2 participants who are well underway in their program with Bhagavan, the breakthrough program, which is happening globally across 3 time zones. So then how does Paramashiva become Tyaga Raja? Tyaga Raja means the king of all Tyagas, the very definition, personification of Tyaga itself. How does he become? If giving up your lower existence is Tyaga, then there is no lower existence for Paramashiva. So then how does Paramashiva become Tyaga Raja? Well, the state Paramashiva is in is the very state of the entire, is the ultimate state. The cosmic principle itself. And so anything that he does in the human plane, when he assumes the human form, even the decision to take a human form and come down to deliver the superconscious breakthrough to humanity, from that decision, everything is Tyaga. Because he is sacrificing that state of Paramashiva, that state of complete all-knowingness. He's a very cosmic principle. So anything he does, starting from the decision to take a human form and come down as an incarnation, starting from that, and all actions that the incarnation does in the human plane, completely comes automatically under the bracket of Tyaga. So this understanding how Paramashiva becomes Tyagaraja becomes a huge click for us in our own life. Because if we connect to that, then it becomes very easy for us also to drop all the lower rungs and do Tyaga of it so joyfully, with the full context, with no remorse, no pain, no suffering. Because we know we need what we're doing it for. We're only doing it to get into the higher existence, the ultimate existence of Paramashiva. So that is the very beauty of the real definition of Tyaga. Anything in the Hindu scriptures is too real and immediately connected to your superconscious breakthrough. And so also with Tyaga. Today, as we celebrate the anniversary of these 3 historic temple monastic complexes of Tiruchangod, Ohio, and Kozhikode. The Tyaga of the incarnation of our beloved Bhagavan can never be told. We can only strive to tell it, strive to tell it, strive to tell it. And today we're going to strive to tell it yet again. Before that, let us listen to Bhagavan's short discourse on Tyaga.
The third point, physics of the Guru-disciple relationship. Understand the third point, the physics of the Guru-disciple relationship is realization. Let me precisely explain what is realization. You declare the truth. First, you need to consciously do listening, internalizing, come to the conscious conclusion. For example, I'll give you one example. Shivoham, Sadashivoham, or Mahasadashivoham, whatever. First of all, you need to consciously spend time in listening and internalizing to come to the conclusion. Yes, my consciousness is alive only because of superconsciousness. It is alive because it is extension of the superconsciousness. If not, it cannot be alive. Because it is in the shade of Mahasadashiva, it is alive. Otherwise, it cannot be alive. Once you come to that conscious conclusion and decision, then based on that powerful cognition, you start manifesting powers. When you try to manifest powers, if you manifest, great. If you are not, that should not shake your conscious conclusion. You should only stand with the conscious conclusion, and all the ups and downs you are going through while holding on to that conclusion and proceeding with your life with one attitude of Tyaga. Understand? I'll explain more detail. You declare, I am Mahasadashiva. With this conscious conclusion, you start manifesting powers. If you manifest, great. That is going to add strength to your confidence, your will persistence, your consciousness. If you are not manifesting, if you are struggling, there is ups and downs, coming and going, or not coming at all. During those moments, carrying on with your life, continuing holding on to this conscious decision, and carrying on with your life with the attitude of Tyaga is realization. Understand, you cannot bargain with Sadashiva. If I manifest these powers, I will accept I am Sadashiva. Otherwise, I am not going to. No. With Sadashiva, Only one attitude works: prayer. No bargaining. No bargaining works with Sadashiva. Other than prayer, nothing else works. Nothing else works. Any business transaction, any bargain doesn't work with Sadashiva. Realization means understand, I am repeating. Realization means continuing to protect your inner space without being affected by the external happenings through the fort of Tyaga, and letting your conscious decision and declaration manifest it in the life. Yes, it's not that all others realized their Sadashiva, their Mahasadashivatva, only you are struggling with it. No. Anyone who realized has struggled with it. If they have not struggled with it, they have not realized it. Understand, during that struggle, keeping Tyaga as the attitude towards life makes realization happen. Understand, if you have the attitude of why me, even if you are world's richest man, you will not be in the space of completion and relaxed. Just if you develop this one understanding of Tyaga, I don't care about ups and downs. My conscious decisions and conclusions are my life. That's it. That's it. That Tyaga will manifest in tons of ways, like how Tyaga is manifesting in me. I have decided to be ferocious with me and decided to go and be in the temple. So I decided, let me be ferocious with myself. Let me go and sit under the banyan tree in the temple whole day so that we will constantly move things and make the temple happen. Yesterday, one Adinavasi came and said, I want to be in Nirahara. That's the way I want to imbibe all your construction plans and start making it into realization. No, actually, it was wonderful. Then I called and guided her that do it step by step like this, so your health does not break. Smoothly, the transition happens into the Tyaga manifesting as powerfulness, ferociousness. I still remember Arunagiri Yogeshwara gave me one copper coin in which Arunachaleshwara's form was printed. I was keeping it and worshipping it. It was very near and dear for me. One day, one of my classmates, he was given a chocolate by another friend and he said, no, I don't want chocolate. Instead, if you give me that money, I'll be happy. The friend asked, what you are going to do with that money? He said, near my house, somebody is building a temple. I have decided that till the temple is completed, I will not eat chocolate and I will collect all the money and give it to the temple to complete that construction. Even if he collects everything, he may give some 10 bricks, not more than that. But his way of Tyaga, I was so happy I gave this dollar to him, which I was worshipping for quite a long time. And after a few hours, I came back to temple to meet Arunagiri Yogeshwara. I told him that I did this. He was so happy. He said, learn to respect Shraddha. That time he did not use the word Tyaga, he used the word Shraddha. I can say both different words, but ultimately same experience. See, that friend may contribute only 10 bricks, even if he saves all the money he eats as chocolate, it may come maximum 50 rupee to 100 rupee. With that 50 to 100 rupee, he may contribute some 10 bricks or, I don't know, 20 bricks, less than 10, 20 bricks. But his ferociousness, more than the contribution he does to temple, his heart will become temple. I tell you, same with Shambhaves. He only decided to be Nirahari. More than, of course, she is going to grasp the whole construction theme. I also blessed her. She will have diseaseless Icha Mrityu and her body will not have any defects of death. It will be like a Jivan Mukta Sarira. One, she will be successful in Nirahara Samyama and she will have this as power manifestation. Let it be on record. You will see this happening. Understand, when you do some Tyaga, the impact is in multiple level. The realization happening in the system is multiple level. It is like a, not just, see, you do Tyaga of giving up solid food to imbibe Swamiji's vision about construction. It's not that only that will happen to you. Multiple things are instigated in your system, like invoked in your system, provoked in your system. That leads to multiple goodness, like a one gear set to motion. So that moves multiple gears. That leads to the balance of chemicals in the body, hormones in the body, evolving the most subtle grooves to capture the vision of Swamiji. Then naturally that starts manifesting the powers of Swamiji. That naturally purifies the system, like tons of things. I tell you, Tyaga makes the realization easy. Very easy. I'm telling you, me going and sitting in the temple and constructing the temple, it's not that only temple is going to be built. Thousands of things which you guys never expected is going to be done to the world now. Just today I decided that Sadashiva Mandapa, the first Mandapa which we are building now with 160 pillars, the whole thing is going to be done in silver. Understand, earlier it was originally planned to do it in stone and teak. And this was not part of the main golden temple. It's the front Sannidhi. Main Garbha Mandir, Ardha Mandapam, Mahamandapam, all that is going to be done in stone and gold coated. That plan remains as it is. The front Mandapam, original plan was to make it in wood and stone and just hang the silver Rudraksha chandeliers and Rudraksha chains and decorate it. Today I decided, because all the physics, biology, chemistry circuits from Agama and all the major mandalas and yantras, I am going to physically draw and fix it on the roof of the whole mandapa, Sadashiva Mandapa. Like Sri Chakra, Sri Mandala, there are many mandala structures which are, just by staring at them, your DNA structure will get aligned to that. And certain power manifestation will start happening in you. I tell you, 21 minutes, if you just stare at Sri Mandala every day, your third eye will start functioning. Because that Sri Mandala itself is so beautiful, it directly represents the cosmic DNA. The cosmic DNA is in the Sri Mandala, Sri Yantra, Sri Chakra, with the 43 triangle and 2-layer lotus and 3-layer avarana. It's called Navavarana Mandala. Actually, it's a line diagram of cosmic DNA. So if you stare at that through your third eye, your DNA will get aligned to the cosmic DNA and you start manifesting powers. Like this, there are multiple various mandalas which can do the mirroring of the neuron in your brain and make you realize and manifest powers. All those mandalas, like Kali Mandala, Chidambara Chakra, Ragasya Yogini Mandalas, all that I'm going to carve in teakwood and silver it completely and fix it in the roof of the Sadashiva Mandapa. It's going to be a monumental and a powerful spiritual energy center. And it is also going to be very historical. Now the bone structure is ready. The bone structure is bone structure is stone. On that, the wood will be cladded. On that wood, the carvings will be done. On the roof will be teakwood. On that, the steel sheet will be fixed. Silver sheet will be fixed. The silver sheet, it will be carved. So the whole thing will be something like 10 tons silver may be used and maybe 500-ton teakwood will be used. 500-ton teakwood and 10-ton silver, roughly I am saying, will be used. It'll represent the whole cosmos. All the powerful energy mandalas will be carved in silver, and it will be available in that mandapa with energizing, means prana pratishtha will be done to all of them, and the regular puja, worship, and any spiritual practice you come and do in that mandapa will immediately become reality. Literally, it will just get multiplied millions of times and manifest the powers immediately. It will be literally like a power manifestation mandapa. Come and sit and stare, you will manifest powers. That's the way it is going to be. And this whole mandapam was the moment I started going and staying there, this whole idea was conceived, and it's like a revelation. Now I'm taking the whole thing to the next level. Once it is done in pure silver, then all that mandalas will be gold coated as per the instruction in Agama. The deities, gods and goddesses. And you can see the construction of the Sadashiva Mandapa happening. It will be called as Mahasadashiva Shakti Mandapa. All the powers of Mahasadashiva will be enshrined here in this. In the form of mandala,
talk about Tyaga, the ultimate Tyaga or sacrifice that one needs to do. Sacrificing all of your lower level cognitions about yourself, your lower level existences, and we heard what the immense benefits that Tyaga can give to you in your life. Just with one component, Tyaga, in your life, it can just manifest everything that you aspire for. That is the greatness of the truths of Sanatana Hindu Dharma. Any truth will give you the breakthrough and fulfill all your aspirations. You can enter the door through any truth and it will fulfill all your aspirations. So what are the understandings we got from Bhagwan's talk on Tyaga that we just saw? I invite Nithya Atmananda Swami to once again share with us concisely the multivarious benefits that Bhagwan said one gets from just following Tyaga in one's life with the ultimate understanding of it. Nithyananda.
Nithyananda, see, basically we all have a wrong impression about what is Tyaga. See, what happens when anybody says Tyaga, the immediate thought which we will have is, oh, if I give away my, I may need to give away my wealth. I may need to, importantly, give away my identity. So when we have this kind of fears, this is the wrong way of understanding what Tyaga means. So when we see the basic meaning, the understanding of Tyaga is completely misunderstood by the humanity. So as per Paramashiva, what Tyaga is, we have like a multiple levels of Tyaga which we need to do to even understand the essence, the importance of the Tyaga. So we have different types of Tyaga, which is like, for example, giving away, doing Tyaga of the material possession. For example, we always have a greed of gathering all the materialistic things, whether it may be useful for us or not, or it is always a greed. Oh, I may need it tomorrow, so let me save it now. So when we are possessing those materialistic things, we always limit ourselves into that small materialistic things instead of reaching or understanding our higher consciousness. And the other thing, other Tyaga, the other aspect of Tyaga is giving up the powerlessness. See, anything which makes us powerless will limit our identity, our capacity of we being Tyagaraja himself, we being Paramashiva himself. So when we give away, when we do the Tyaga of that powerlessness, for example, you may tell it as fear or the greed, which we always think this fear and greed is the fuel of life, which is not. The moment when we do Tyaga of the fear and greed, the next level expansion is becoming Paramashiva. It is always, Cosmos is the one which always provides us with abundance. When we give away, when we do the Tyaga of that very particular fear, we will see the next things, next levels of consciousness getting unfolded to us. So when we give up the what to say, the powerlessness, the next level of consciousness, the revelation of the next level of consciousness will happen to us. And the most important and the primary one is giving away, doing Tyaga of our own sufferings and pains. Swamiji in one of the satsangs very beautifully says, doing Tyaga of pleasures is very easy, but doing the Tyaga of pains is the main important thing. The moment you do the Tyaga of the pains which you carry, the next thing is you becoming Paramashiva. I would like to expand a little bit upon it. See, we always have a idea of, okay, I have so much of wealth, so if I do Tyaga of it, I become Tyagaraja. No. See, when we have the pain, saying, oh, my mother scolded me, or my mother-in-law scolded me, or my son and daughter is behaving like this, so and so, lot of things are there. And we have a justification to say, I am the way I am because, and blah, 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 saying, this is the pain I have, so that to protect me from that kind of any attack, I have to have this kind of pain so that I will be survived. No, never the powerlessness will, never the powerlessness will give us or expand us into the next level. So if we just see, the moment when you expand yourself, the moment when you do Tyaga, the next level conscious revelations will happen to you. So when we do the Tyaga of the pain, the understanding, the very level of understanding of life will be more and more depth. The moment when you give away your pain, the moment you do Tyaga of the pain, you will understand how beautifully the whole cosmos is supporting your existence for you to become Paramashiva, and your next level capacity will be unfolded to you. The moment when you do Tyaga of your own pain, you will understand what are all the capacities which you know but you did not touch. All those things will be um, really unfolding it to you, and you will understand what are all the imaginations which you have, which is limiting you for you not to become the Paramashiva himself. But because Swami, I think you can explain it even more deeper truths regarding the Tyaga.
And also, the main thing that we need to understand from the truths that Bhagavan is revealing on Tyaga is that when we understand our highest level of existence is Paramashiva, and we need to give up everything else in our life, all our low level cognitions, which is powerlessness, fear, greed, suffering, pain, all of that, when we do sacrifice of that, when we do Tyaga of that, then what is really happening in us is the determination to stand with integrity to the conscious decision that we are Paramashiva starts happening. And that is where the Tyaga of Bhagavan comes into the life of every one of us, where he does the ultimate Tyaga at every single micro level and macro level to make us acquire that determination, to make us hold on to the conscious decision that I am Paramashiva, to make us hold on to that conscious decision and do Tyaga of everything else that we have acquired in life. Paramashiva comes down in human form and does the ultimate Tyaga till you have that determination. And he does this for every single being, which is why his Tyaga is the ultimate Tyaga. With every human being, his whole life is like infinite strings, which each one of us is actually literally pulling. And he is doing the Tyaga with every string, which is a connection he has with every being. Every moment, every string is being pulled in a different way. He's doing Tyaga in a different way for each being, for that being to start understanding the conscious decision that he or she is Paramashiva. So the entire life of Bhagavan is complete Tyaga. Any action, word that he does or says is for some being or the other to get the conscious decision that I am Paramashiva and do the Tyaga in their life of all their lower level identities lower than Paramashiva. So that is the deeper level understanding of Tyaga, which is why the entire life of an incarnation, the entire life of our beloved Bhagavan becomes only Tyaga and nothing but Tyaga. Because even lifting a little finger is towards making some being understand and make them drop their low level existence and make them get attracted to their higher level existence, which is Paramashiva. So the Tyaga of the incarnation is at too many infinite dimensions and too many multiple infinite layers. And as we go further into this session today on Tyaga of the incarnation for the sake of humanity, I now invite Nithya Jayananda, our own sannyasi, to share with us the Shastra Pramana, which is the reference from the sacred Hindu scriptures on Tyaga.
Thank you, Bhagavad Swami. So this verse is a Shastra Pramana, a sutra, a verse directly from our Shastras, which speaks about Tyaga and tells us what Tyaga can give us. I will directly go into chanting the Shastra Pramana for all of us. This verse is from the Sannyasa Sutra called the Dahara Vidya, the section called Dahara Vidya under the Mahanarayana Upanishad. न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानशुः परेण नाकं निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते यद्यतयो विशन्ति. Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitartha Sannyasa Yoga Yataya Shuddha Sattvaha. This is a beautiful verse. I will also read out the meaning, which says that neither by actions, nor through progeny, nor through wealth, but only by renunciation alone is immortality achieved. I repeat, neither by actions nor through progeny and wealth, but by renunciation alone is immortality attained. The second line goes on to say, this state is far beyond the highest heaven that the sages perceive. It is hidden in the cave of the heart, shining brilliantly therein. The third line goes on to say, those who have a clear understanding of the principles of the science of Vedanta, who have purified themselves by the means of the yoga of renunciation, and who are thus established in the state of supreme, are totally liberated into the Brahman. This is a verse from Sannyasa Sukta, which speaks about Tyaga, which clearly tells us that by Tyaga, we're not losing anything. In fact, it is a resource that gifts us with immortality itself. Like Swamiji says, Tyaga is that cosmic currency. It is a resource that we're building every time we decide to do Tyaga. Bhaktika Swami, I would request you to take us through deeper insights of Tyaga.
Yes, thank you, Ma. Our sacred Hindu scriptures tells us clearly each and every truth on the Hindu cosmic principles. And when we apply it in our life directly, it will straight away give us a superconscious breakthrough. That is the greatness of every single truth. And as we all know, literally for over a month now, in the everyday morning Nithyananda Satsang, delivered by our beloved Bhagwan, he has been literally drilling into us the truth about Tyaga. Because if we internalize this one truth, if we understand this one powerful cognition, then it is like a center pin, which, when removed, completely liberates you from all of your lower level existences, and you can straight away take the leap into the higher frequency of your own existence, which is the state of Paramashiva. Which is why Bhagavan dwelt upon this topic at such great length. Never has he spoken at so much length about any other topic consistently in the everyday morning satsang. So understand, whatever the incarnations emphasize, then that becomes the essence which we need to catch for our life. Which is why the very essence of the life of Bhagavan is Tyaga, sacrifice. Whoever you may be, whatever may be your background, and wherever you are from the side of Bhagavan, the moment you set your eyes on him, the moment he enters your life, his Tyaga towards you starts. He does not know anything else. Today, we are poised to see the historic happening of the three temple monastery complexes, the Tirchangod Adinam, the Ohio Adinam, and the Kozhikode Adinam. The three of them speak volumes of the Tyaga, the sacrifice of Bhagavan, especially the Tirchangod Adinam, which stands on the sacred river Kaveri in Tirchangod in Tamil Nadu. And it was way back in the year 2000 when Bhagavan came down from the Himalayas, where he was in a spiritual wandering, gracing all the people wherever he went, who were probably yearning for him for lifetimes, waiting to be graced by him. He undertook the Parivrajaka, the spiritual wandering. And when he came down from Omkareshwar, Narmada, it was in Narmada, of course, that he had the avataric revelation, where the entire mission for humanity, the building of the Hindu nation, Sri Kailasa, unfolded. And after that, he made his way down south. And he came to a spot called Nadupalani, a place called Acharapakkam, Nadupalani, in Tamil Nadu. And that is when the first great pause happened. And it was a period of 9 months where he literally lay motionless. Very few people came in touch with him at that time. And his entire body, being, and the entire system was asserting itself to unfold the entire avataric mission to humanity. And we all know about the second great pause that happened just a few months ago. But the first great pause was in this place called Nadupalani in Acharapakkam, where he was by himself in a small room. And after that, he made his way, as willed, as orchestrated by existence itself, to the banks of the sacred Kaveri river in Tiruchengood. And when he arrived there, he was just a single man with no penny on him, a sadhu, a sannyasi. And from the very dust of the sacred river Kaveri, he created the Sri Kailasa Hindu nation today, as we see it standing in front of our eyes, as an empire striving to re-establish the enlightened civilization back on the planet. And he has done it successfully. And we're seeing it grow from strength to strength every single minute. It was on the banks of the river Kaveri. You are going to be seeing in front, which is right next to our monastery, which Bhagavan established in Tiruchengood, in a small village called Pallipalayam. Yes, you're seeing it now. This is exactly where Bhagavan established the first historic temple in Tiruchengood, Kailasa in Tiruchengood, at the anniversary we're celebrating today. This is the first, on the banks of this river, the first temple Bhagavan established. It is here that he came without even a single penny on him, not knowing how the vision is going to unfold. And there's a very significant photograph you're seeing here. This thatched roof building that you're seeing in front of you is the first building, the first roof that Bhagavan built over his head. And this is where he lived, from which the entire empire of Sri Kailasa was built. And to your left, you're seeing a small four-pillared structure. And this is where the Samadhi, which is the resting place of the donor of this land, is located. And the donor of this land, Pongiya Nagaundar, saw this young sadhu lying on this very Samadhi, and which was his father's Samadhi, and he approached Bhagavan and requested him to accept this very land as an offering to him. Understand, when you are who you are, the space you are in, that manifests your world around you. And from this very small thatched roof structure that Bhagavan himself built on the sacred banks of the river Kaveri, the first humble abode happened when Pongiya Nagaundar donated the land to Bhagavan. Pongiya Nagaundar was guided by none other than the 232nd Pontiff of the Tondemandala Adinam. In the Tondemandala region in Tamil Nadu, this Tiruchengood area falls. And Pongiya Nagaundar was guided by the 232nd Pontiff of the Tondemandala Adinam to donate this land to Bhagavan, to young Bhagavan. And Pongiya Nagaundar followed his guidance with the strong intuition and guided by existence itself that this land was orchestrated for a much higher purpose. You are seeing some of the very early photographs of the Tiruchengood Adinam, and here you are seeing a bilva tree which holds a very special significance. This bilva tree is located inside the Tiruchengood Adinam, which Bhagavan inaugurated on the 14th of April 2001. When Bhagwan was sitting in the banks of river Kaveri, which you're seeing now in front of you, he had his eyes closed, and suddenly he beheld the vision of a divine mother, none other than Mother Kaveri herself, who came and offered a garland to him and showered him with bilva leaves. And those very bilva leaves, Bhagwan collected and put it in the Tiruchengodu Adinam. And in that very spot, this bilva tree grew. And today, the sannyasis of the mission worship this bilva tree as its very origin is so mystical. Requesting to show the bilva tree. And the sacred river Kaveri here holds a very special significance. Yes, this is the bilva tree, the mystical bilva tree. When Paramashiva himself comes down in human form and starts executing the saga of sacrifice, every step becomes a showering by the cosmos. This bilva tree is one of the energy hubs of the Tiruchengodu Adinam today. And the Kaveri here itself has a special significance, which is the other aspect of sacrifice of Bhagwan in choosing this location. Every choice, every consideration, every word, thought, deed, and action of Bhagwan as the living incarnation of Paramashiva is based off Tyaga, is based off sacrifice for humanity. He chose this very location in order to give the experience to humanity of Mother Kaveri, because she is very special in this location. Why? Because just like how Mother Ganga takes a U-turn against her own very current in Kashi, in Varanasi, just to worship Lord Vishwanatha, the Shivalinga in the Varanasi temple, same way Mother Kaveri takes a U-turn here in this very location which Bhagwan chose for the Tiruchengodu Adinam. She takes a U-turn to worship Paramashiva. And therefore, in this Adinam, Bhagavan installed the Shivalinga, to which Mother Kaveri is paying her humble obeisance. You can see it in front of you. And this place carries the energy of Varanasi itself. The ultimate compassion and Tyaga of the incarnation has to be understood here. For those who cannot travel all the way to Varanasi, to Kashi, and experience the energy of liberation in their life, experience the ultimate mukti in their life, this place Bhagwan has established, has recognized and established the Tiruchengodu Adinam for people to converge, to congregate, and have the same energy as Kashi, as Varanasi here. Every single consideration is for the sake of humanity, and his own body, he is willing to stretch to any extreme to make it happen for humanity. The nitty-gritty details he addresses to give that benefit, bit of benefit for humanity without leaving any stone unturned, is the saga of his sacrifice. And this Tiruchengodu Adinam today is manned by the sannyasis of the Nithyananda order, and every purpose which Bhagwan conceived this Tiruchengodu Adinam for the sake of humanity, is being met in the Tiruchengodu Adinam today. So many years ago, when Bhagwan went to Tiruchengodu and just lay down with empty hands under that samadhi that you saw of the donor, there was nothing he had with him. And from that, the entire empire was built through his sheer sacrifice, through his sheer Tyaga. He created every individual, every devotee, by adding value to their life, by sacrificing himself and adding benefit and value to their life. He literally burnt himself out in every possible way, added value to each one's life, and they became part of Bhagwan's life. And when they became part of Bhagwan's life, they started having the superconscious breakthrough. And out of all that, the entire Tiruchengodu Adinam started happening. We will now see, before Bhagwan came to the spot, how he landed in Tiruchengodu, and even before he put this humble roof over his head. In fact, you need to know, even before the inauguration was done on April 14th, this very day in 2001, even before the roof, the building, the thatch building was completed, the inauguration happened and Bhagwan moved into it. And it was after he moved into it and started living that the thatched roof was even completed. He could not wait. He had too much to do. Now we will see, before he came to this inaugural stage of the historic Tiruchengood Adinam, how and what did he do in Tiruchengood? And how all did he completely sacrifice himself to contribute to the people of Tiruchengood? He arrived in Tiruchengood, and in the most historic few months of his life on the planet, with the most fortunate set of people, he lived those few months without even a roof over his head. We're now going to see the pre-inaugural days. Yes. Yes, you started seeing it. This is the sacred river Kaveri, on which Bhagwan set up the first enlightenment ecosystem for humanity after he assumed the human form. And what happened before that, you are going to see just now. Bhagwan travelled door to door, house to house, village to village in Tiruchengood, and touched base with the people there and explained to them and radiated who he was to them and added the value to their life and untiringly performed the great homas, rituals, and conducted the meditation programs and delivered free satsangs, all of this for free in every single tiny village in Tiruchengood. You are seeing here in front of you the second ever Chandi Homa performed personally by Bhagwan in a small village called Kaundapadi in Tiruchengood. And this is on the 9th, 10th and 11th of January 2001. Even before the inauguration of Tiruchengood Adinam happened, he did not have a roof over his head for himself. And you're seeing now this entire Chandi Homa, which is towards the Divine Mother, he performed for the benefit of that particular temple where he conducted it. For that temple to flourish as an enlightenment ecosystem, he organized and he educated the management temple of that team, and he worked for them and organized the entire Chandi Homa, and he himself personally conducted it over a span of 3 days, the 9th, 10th and 11th of January. Each and every person in this photograph is a direct eyewitness to the hard work and Tyaga, sacrifice of Bhagwan, to what level he comes down for each one to understand the significance of rituals, for each one to experience the power of the rituals, so that they will do it in their life, so that they will experience the oneness with Paramashiva through it. He is Paramashiva himself, yet he does everything physically. What we need to do, he does and shows, and inspires us for us to do it. Addressing every nitty-gritty detail, explaining the context to each and every one present, and he himself radiating the body language of a devout devotee of Paramashiva, praying to Paramashiva himself, he himself being Paramashiva. And we will somehow convey to that person that we have done that Tyaga for them, either directly or indirectly, either today or definitely tomorrow, or at least 1 year later. But never we will leave it unsaid. But the life story of Tyaga of Bhagavan is a saga of Tyaga untold. With any words we may use, any word that we are using even right now is extremely inadequate and therefore not at all describing the Tyaga of Bhagavan. His very existence on the planet in human form is a Tyaga, a sacrifice. I invite Nithya Satsang to give further insights into the Tyaga of Bhagavan.
Yes, Nithyananda. Thank you for giving this opportunity to be able to tell all the viewers what are the details of how His Divine Holiness had intensely got down into the details, intensely worked for the creation of what we all know and experience and live as Sri Kailasa today. As we have just seen, these photos, the photographs of Chandi Homa that he was preparing for and then conducting himself, you have seen this entire construction of Chandi Homa is entirely done by His Divine Holiness himself. I'd just like to describe first what this Chandi Homa is, why it is important, and what His Divine Holiness was actually doing at this time before inaugurating the Tiruchengod Adinam Sri Kailasa in Tiruchengod, before starting his mission. What is the significance of Chandi Homa at this time? Chandi Homa is one of the dearest and most intricate rituals that can be conducted in Hinduism, and one of the most dear rituals to the heart of His Divine Holiness. Why we know this is because continuously, every year, every Navaratri, every Diwali, His Divine Holiness has either personally conducted or overseen conducting the Chandi Homa every single year without a doubt. And now, in the Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Devalayam, the Chandi Homa is continuously going and continuously happening every single day. This process, this ritual is an intense energy creation. It's an intense offering for Chandi, the Divine Mother, the most ferocious energy. And in order to build Sri Kailasa, in order to revive Sri Kailasa, Chandi Homa, His Divine Holiness had chosen to do, to revive, to start the reviving of Sri Kailasa. As I was able to explain, His Divine Holiness started the intense passion for chanting the Devi Mahathyam, as we know, as early as 1995, the very first copy that he had owned, which is still with the biography archives of Sri Kailasa, is from 1995. The Devi Mahathyam is a very grand 700-verse detailed Purana and story of how Devi came down in different manifestations, in different forms, in her most ferocious form, in order to slay the demons which were creating intense havoc at the time. This Devi Mahathyam is 13 chapters of different times, different epics where Devi, the divine goddess, comes down and defeats the different demons which have manifested in different eras of time. So the entire Devi Mahathyam comes up to 700 verses. Now, this is usually chanted, if you see in Chandi Homa, by a team of priests, but His Divine Holiness at this time did not have any kind of support or any kind of team that was helping him or in order to conduct the entire Chandi Homa. So this Devi Mahathyam was entirely chanted by him. Each verse and each syllable chanted directly from him. The priests of the nearby temples had heard His Divine Holiness at this time and even came to honor him because he was chanting the Devi Mahathyam with such eloquency and such energy that they were entirely moved. After the chanting, not only is there such elaborate chanting and process just for the chanting, in the whole Chandihoma process, the different herbs and produce are so rare just for the setup of the entire Chandihoma that it at least takes 3 months prior. You have to gather all the things, that you have to source all of the rare herbs and processes in order to make the entire setup of the Chandihoma. As you saw in the visuals, in the photographs before, there was at least 108 kalashas, and kalashas meaning the small pots which His Divine Holiness himself had tied together, and gathering of the specific type of wood which is told in the Agama which has to be used. The mango tree wood and several different types of wood are specifically prescribed in the Agamas in order for the best offering to be made to the deities during Homa. All of these different produce, wood, herbs, different leaves, different fruits and offerings, the naivedyams which have to be made specifically with the recipe, with the specific ingredients prescribed by the Shastras, by the Hindu scriptures. All of this is the elaborate process which His Divine Holiness had attended to completely. This entire process, making of the Chandihoma, including the setup of the roof above the Chandihoma, it is prescribed that during Homas you should have at least some kind of covering over the Homa. And in order to construct that, and then in order to bring all of these rare items which are needed for the Chandihoma, at least it costs 10 lakh rupee. And at this time, at merely the age, not even completing the age of 23, His Divine Holiness had entirely conducted this Chandihoma just by himself, from gathering the donations in order to make it happen, then sitting and doing every single detail by himself so beautifully. This entire Chandihoma was done with so much of passion by His Divine Holiness in order to properly, perfectly build the foundation of what we all know as Sri Kailasa today. Sri Kailasa is felt 30 million devotees and is serving 2 billion Hindus all over the world today because of the passion that His Divine Holiness poured into the work which was involved in building this foundation of Tiruchengod Adhinam, and later the foundation of Adipeetham in Bidadi, what is known today as the spiritual headquarters of Sri Kailasa. Now, in order to know more about the Tiruchengod Adhinam, the different people who are also there and who witnessed the hard work and sacrifice, the Tyaga of His Divine Holiness, I ask Ma Bhaktika Swami once again to guide us further in knowing and recalling the Tyaga of His Divine Holiness.
Yes, Ma. Let us now experience the deep sacrifice of the incarnation of our beloved Bhagavan by watching the short presentation on the Tiruchengod Adhinam inauguration.
ஆதிசிவன் ஆதி அந்தமில்லாதொரு ஜோதி வடிவம் அந்தமில்லாதொரு ஜோதி வடிவமாய் வந்து நின்றான். ஐந்தோழில் செய்தொழித்தான், அந்த வருத்தம் தீர்த்திட உலகம் வந்தான். ஆக்கைக்கு தீக்கைகள் அடித்திடும் போது சதாசிவன் என்னும் நினைவு கொண்டான். மாயை மக்களை மயக்கும் போது ஈசானன் தான் என்னும் நினைப்பும் கொண்டான். கண்கள் ககனம் காத்திடும் வேளையில் வித்துருவாய் வந்து தானாய் நின்றான். ஆகாத மனிதரை அழித்திடும் வேளையில் ஆகி நின்றான் அவன் ருத்திரனான். ஆதிசிவன் ஆதி அந்தமில்லாதொரு ஜோதி வடிவமாய் வந்து நின்றான்.
We are now continuing to see the historic first Tiruchengode Adinam temple established by Bhagwan. He is offering the Arati to the sacred river Kaveri here. And you can see the prevalent conditions around him in which he was living. But yet, his focus was on personally performing all the rituals that was required so that the people around him would catch it, imbibe it, and experience the benefit of it in their own life and make it a part of their lifestyle, which is a lifestyle of Sri Kailasa, the enlightened civilization. And you can see Bhagwan here in deep humility and devotion on the banks of the sacred river Kaveri in his morning and evening sacred ablutions. People around him, the lifestyle of Sri Kailasa, radiating deep devotion to the divine so that every being around him will catch it and make it a part of their being, which will give them the superconscious breakthrough. Every action of the incarnation is with a deep sacrifice and purpose of making us human beings raise our frequency of existence. You can see the very attire of Bhagwan in 3 colors in this photograph, which speaks volumes of the meager physical, the meager existence in which Bhagwan lived at that time. The meager physical means his turban in a different shade of ochre, and the shawl in a different shade, and the lower waistcloth in a different shade. Yet Bhagwan worked untiringly, keeping his focus on building Sri Kailasa. And this is a historic first visiting card that Bhagwan himself went to a nearby shop and got designed. Every single square millimeter of this card is the Tyaga of Bhagwan for the sake of humanity, to reach out to humanity, to hand out to humanity at that time, to tell them that he has arrived, and to invite them for their own superconscious breakthrough. He worked untiringly in every possible dimension that one can ever conceive. And these are the crystal pieces and rods that Bhagwan used for healing the thousands of people who started gathering around him to receive the healing from him. He has cured right from blood cancer to migraine during these days of Tiruchengode. This is the first historic telephone directory maintained personally by Bhagavan, handwritten by him, in which he maintained all his contacts so meticulously. He himself building the contacts of Tirchangod as he built the Adinam brick by brick. And this historic telephone book is part of the archives today, which speaks volumes of Bhagavan's Tyaga. Here he is, immersing himself in personally performing the Abhishekam to the Mahameru in the sacred Kaveri river, demonstrating to the people around him the importance of the rituals and how to make it a part of their life. And here is Bhagavan seen with the 232nd Pontiff of the Tonde Mandala Adinam and Sri Kumarasamy Tambiran of the Thiruvavudurai Adinam, two great spiritual Hindu leaders and giants. He personally invited them to visit the site where he's going to establish the first temple of Sri Kailasa. And of course, we know later on, Bhagavan went on to take on the responsibility as the 233rd succeeding Pontiff of Tondemandala Adinam itself. He was coronated at the age of 10 during his childhood by the 230th Pontiff, and standing here beside him is the 232nd Pontiff who was waiting for him to attain the physical maturity age before he could take on the responsibilities of the Tondemandala Adinam, under which this area of Tirchangod is located. Bhagavan works untiringly with the great spiritual leaders and giants, and you're once again seeing the humble abode in which Bhagavan built and lived in Tirchangod. At this very stage of this building, Bhagavan moved into the very building because he had no time to spare. He had to move very fast, rapidly, to establish Sri Kailasa for the sake of humanity. And this is the public function that Bhagavan organized even months before he inaugurated the Adinam in Tirchangod, because he wanted to announce to the people in Tirchangod about the upcoming temple in Tirchangod, the upcoming enlightenment ecosystem. And therefore, with extreme sincerity, he organized this public function. Even in this public function, you can see the very attire of Bhagavan speaking volumes about the life that he was living on the banks of Kaveri at that time, the deep life of sacrifice. In spite of that, he organized the public function, leaving no stone unturned in announcing to humanity that he is on his way to establishing the historic first temple of Sri Kailasa, always wearing a smile, hiding the deep Tyaga that he is doing every moment, never wanting to give us an ounce of pain in case we came to be aware of the Tyaga that is happening in front of our own eyes, of the untold story of Tyaga of the incarnation. And here, the historic happening of the inauguration of the Tirchangod Adinam, April 14th, 2001. This very photograph, Bhagavan documented himself with his own handwriting for the posterity, for humanity. His thinking through can never be untold. He did not want this moment to be missed. He documented the photograph himself for humanity to keep and remind itself of its very purpose of human birth. And here you can see Bhagavan is the main working hand in this picture in establishing this temple, as you can see. He is holding the very items meant for inauguration, and he is just assisted by the few people who are deeply inspired by him, who offer their assistance purely out of the value Bhagavan added to their life at that point in time. Otherwise, Bhagavan was by himself, making the whole thing happen. And he named it Sri Ramakrishna Dhyanapitam, paying tribute to Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, as you can see here. This is a photograph of Sri Ramakrishna, which he placed, paying tribute to the great Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, in whose monastery he lived as an austere brahmachari for 4 years between 1995 and 1999. And this is the traditional boiling of the milk when you inaugurate any sacred place. And Bhagavan attended to even this micro detail and ensured that even this tradition was followed, so that the people did not miss any detail in what needs to be imbibed in Sanatana Hindu Dharma, which is the very process of their own superconscious breakthrough. And you can see with just the thatch roof, Bhagavan started in full swing. The complete activities of a full-fledged temple. Day after day, morning, evening, and night. People would flock to him in congregation, and he would untiringly perform the homas, rituals, the pujas, deliver the satsangs, and conduct meditation programs, and teach people the importance of a guru in their life. It is up to Paramashiva himself to teach the people the significance of Paramashiva in their life as the guru. And he did all of it just as an extension of his Tyaga. And here you can see, during the inauguration, he left no stone unturned. He ensured that he took it right up to giving the energy darshan to each and every individual who had gathered for the public function. He just flooded each one with his Tyaga, ensuring they got all benefits all around, physical, mental, and spiritual. And this is the historic first Guru Purnima celebrations Bhagavan conducted in Tirchangoda Adinam, sitting as the Guru, Paramashiva, yet he himself performing every ritual, every abhisheka, every homa, every arati, and once again coming back and giving the blessings to the people. It is too much a story of sacrifice to describe. Bhagavan's intense Tyaga, intense activism, unimaginable compassion for humanity, for every being. This is the first altar, the full altar set up by Bhagavan, and you can see Paramashiva's snake, a live snake around Paramashiva Linga in this first historic Linga consecrated by Bhagavan. When Bhagavan himself does anything, the realness of it causes the responses from cosmos itself. And this snake, which is the snake of Paramashiva himself, has found its way and has coiled itself around the first historic linga consecrated by Paramashiva, telling the people, making a huge statement that it is Bhagavan himself who has done this, and it is Bhagavan himself sitting there. As testimony to this first historic temple, Paramashiva's snake itself has appeared from nowhere and coiled itself around the Shivalinga. And the miracle is, till date, this snake lives there and appears silently, coils itself around the Shivalinga and moves away silently, not harming anyone. And witness to that are the very sannyasis who live in the Tirchangod Adinam today. So that is the first historic Tirchangod Adinam, which speaks of the volumes of Tyaga, sacrifice done by Bhagavan. We now move on with no further delay to how the Ohio Adinam in USA, which is celebrating its anniversary today, the 13th anniversary today, how it happened out of the deep Tyaga of Bhagavan for humanity. I welcome Manithya Prabhananda Swami, Manithya Shivananda, and Manithya Bodhanananda. Three beautiful sannyasis and devotees and disciples of Bhagavan to share with us the happening of the Ohio Adinam as an outcome of the deep Tyaga of Bhagavan to humanity. Nithyananda. Yes. Nithyananda, you can mute yourself and start talking.
Can you hear me, Ma?
Yes, Nithyananda.
Nithyanandam, everyone. The inauguration of the temple is happening on earth. I experienced the heaven itself, I have to say. The divine landed in Ohio. That is my expression about that. And how this temple came, it's a divine happening because I have so much to share, but I can't share it in such a short time. But how...
Can you talk a bit louder, Ma? Your audio is a little broken, so if you can raise your voice, it will help viewers to understand.
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
We can hear
better?
you broken, Ma.
Okay. Can you hear now?
Yes, we can hear you, Ma. Please proceed.
Yes. So it is a divine happening itself here, and how the temple came itself is with a few devotees. Swamiji, when he came in 2005 here, conducting a program, and said the temple will happen. And he gave a towel to me, and he said this will do the work. And to tell you the truth, I did not.
There is an audio issue, Ma, because your audio is appearing broken.
Okay, let me check the. Can you hear it now, Ma?
Yes, it is very clear.
Can you hear it now?
Yes, very loud and clear, Ma.
Okay, Ma. So the temple, when it was inaugurated, when Swamiji said the temple will happen in Ohio, it was hard for me to believe that it will happen because I am a human being looking at the level of the human being. And he said it will happen before his Jayanti in December 31st that year. He said this in April when he came for a program here. And it was very hard for me to believe, and I didn't know how it will happen. Went to Swamiji that morning and I said, I don't think I can do it with very few people here. And he said, when Swami ordains, it will happen, Ma. And sure, I really, if you ask me, I really how it happened, it is only a divine happening. It's been every experience I had, I really can write a book how this temple happened. Um, and December 31st, we closed on this building and moved into it by January 1st with hardly handful of deities. And as you can see the pictures here, this happened in December 31st and we moved into the building. Swamiji's Tyaga in this, I say, he takes the people, he always said, I don't get the qualified people, I take the few people and qualify them. And that's how I felt with the whole thing. I didn't think in my human power to this temple will happen. And people came, people helped, and when the inauguration happened, it was I don't know, it's like happening, so many people expressed so many experiences. When Nithyanandeshwari landed, as you can see, they look like they land from Kailash itself. It was just an experience I can never forget. That with just the Master's grace, his Tyaga, and when he says bring a temple, it is for us to grow into a different level of being. How he raised our consciousness to the level of Paramashiva is amazing. By giving each one different chores and different idea about themselves, powerfulness about themselves is amazing how Swamiji does it.
Yes, Ma, and to add to that, the highlight of it all was that this very deity of Anandeshwara, Nithyanandeshwari was personally sculpted by Bhagwan himself, in the along with the artisans in Tamil Nadu, South India. And of course, you were in the US at that time, and we were in India, and and some of us are very fortunate to be eyewitnesses to that historic happening. Please continue, Ma.
It is a divine happening, Ma. That's all I can say. It's how in each one, so many people, close to 1,000 people came, and the homas were done, and so many devotees expressed how each one had an experience in that inauguration. A few of them took out, they said that they were feeling like it was happening in Devaloka. The rain was there that day, and people said that
it was looking like Kailash itself. Some random devotees came and told me that. And there is Bhagwan entering the temple, and it was, I just cannot express it in words. It was such a beautiful, this is after we did the Kumbh Mela, Swamiji did the Kumbh Mela and declared our river, the confluence of the two rivers, as Paschim Prayag. Whoever takes a bath here, or if anybody passes away and their last rituals are done here, they will be liberated. Their souls will be liberated, he said. And I have seen that happen, how families feel so blessed and peaceful when they do the last rituals here. I have witnessed it so many times, and so many miracles in this temple. And the main thing I want to share is Kala Bhairava landed in Swamiji's body in our temple while he was staying here and energizing the temple. We were very fortunate to have the deity carved by Swamiji himself. Those deities, I just see him in those deities every day and ask all the devotees the experience with the deities here. It's amazing. And see, here is Bhagwan conducting the Homa, and the Kumbh Mela. Then after this is the Kumbh Mela scene that we went around the town of Delaware, and all these devotees came from all over the world, and he's doing Kumbh Mela with the river now. So so many happenings I like to share, but really not enough time to share that. But see, the dignitaries were all called, and the local mayor was there, and all the religious leaders were there, and all of us learned so much. We did not know anything about temples, being the temples. The way Swamiji just trained the whole group was so amazing. There he is doing the prana pratishtha. This is the amazing moment. I really felt like my 2 feet was not on the ground. It was such a Turiya experience, I would say. I don't even remember a lot of things because it was such a beautiful experience. There Swamiji is doing Aarti for Nithyanandeshwara and Nithyanandeshwari. And there he just trained all of us for the whole thing. We didn't know how to even light the lamps. We didn't know how to prepare the Aarti. Everything was just very fortunate to be trained by him. So many experiences, like he made us we were all awake the whole night and prepared for the Paramashivam. Everyone helped, and the deities came from Los Angeles. There were trucks of things. Swamiji made it from there. He's entering the temple of Swamiji.
And Ma, the highlight of it is Bhagwan works 30 hours a day in sacrifice to humanity, adding value to each being and teaching, training each being towards that being's superconscious growth every minute, not uttering a word about his Tyaga that goes on silently. And then as a result of that, the people who have experienced the benefit in their life offer what they want to offer in gratitude to Bhagavan, and those offerings he showers on us as a temple for us in our own region where we live, as a new enlightenment ecosystem, so that new people can live around an enlightenment ecosystem. He continues his life as Tyaga, and whatever people give him as gratitude for that, he only gives to us while he continues his life as Tyaga. Never
Absolutely, ma.
even one penny from it. He came penniless, he will go penniless. And every penny people give to him out of the deep gratitude for the Tyaga they do to that he's doing for their life, he just showers to us on the side and walks through penniless. It is just too mind-boggling. I want to also invite Nithya Bodhanananda and Nithya Prabhananda, who are the other two people melting and waiting to share about, especially now that you've flashed all these nostalgic photographs. I'm literally tearing up now because we were all part of this from India. You all were part of it from Ohio itself. And we breathed every moment of it from here. I just know these photographs by heart. And it's really choking me right now. I invite Nithya Bodhanananda and Nithya Prabhananda to share more on this.
Thank you, ma.
Nithyanandam, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Nithyanandam, so this was the most amazing beginning of the major journey of my life. I told the current volunteers that if you just say yes and allow Mahasannidhanam to take you, you'll just go. Because for me, I met Swamiji through a flyer, and I went to a talk, and the next thing I did was go to India to the first Nithyananda Yoga teacher training. But through this whole time, I didn't really know Mahasannidhanam, but through the whole time, she stayed in touch with me and just pulled me in and held me in and acted as if I belonged. And so then when the next big event came that Swamiji was coming, and she called and said, what do you want to do to help? I said, I don't know. What should I do? She said, just come and stay for 2 weeks. And this is how it is. When we talk about Tyaga, for me, since the moment I met Swamiji, there was just yeses. And I've reflected so much that Swamiji originally was always saying that so many people think the spiritual path means renunciation, and it's not. It's moving into expansion. And for me, from this moment of meeting Mahasannidhananda and then moving into this expansion with Swamiji, the yeses never felt constricted, or it never felt like any sacrifice. So I was in this temple with Swamiji being trained directly. And when you say Mahasannidhananda and Mahaprabha and myself, we're just entwined, because Mahaprabha was there and she didn't know anything about puja and arti, and Swamiji's explaining to her about the arti items, and I was all watching and amazed. I'd never seen things like this. So just by watching and participating, I learned so much. And he was directly training the team from Los Angeles, so he brought that whole team. The thing that I observed, and it happened again in Nithyananda Yogam, was Swamiji's leadership qualities, his leadership skills, his micromanagement. This is all part of his Tyaga. He, as Paramashiva, knows everything, but he had to bring it down for the human beings to teach him the smallest things about. I remember he took them in the kitchen just to show them. That night they stayed up all night how to make certain foods. He was saying, Mahashivan and Mahakila, like, you have to do the kitchen, and then Maharupa, you have to do malas. And he just made everybody do these jobs, but he actually had to train everyone on the job. It was the most amazing thing to watch. And other small details, like right after when he arrived, he said, a compass. He wanted a compass. We had to run out to Walmart and buy a compass. And he immediately took the magnetic directions of the 2 rivers that we have, the Olentangy River and Kingsbury Run. He looked at the flow, and he declared that it was exactly the same flow direction as Ganga and Yamuna. And then wanted, the deity was placed right at the confluence of those flows. Like, this level of detail that we could just participate in because we were there with him was so amazing. And that's what I've seen continued on for the whole 12 years that I've known him, is his amazing attention to detail, his amazing ability to bring people in, as Mahasannidhananda said, not qualified, but he qualified all of us. So what a huge blessing for me as a woman from a small town in Michigan who knew nothing but white Anglo-Saxon people to be meeting my master in Ohio, just maybe by a fluke, maybe not. The first time he talked was only 1 block from my house at the church. Now I'm thinking maybe he came to that town just because I was there waiting. So anyway,
Ma Bodhana, sorry to interrupt your flow, but the sacrifice, the Tyaga of Paramashiva for each devotee, Ma, what you just now said, maybe he came just for me. You can get it confirmed with Swamiji, but maybe it is true, because that is the level at which Paramashiva works for every devotee. That is his level of sacrifice, where for the sake of one devotee, he might even spin the globe around once. So visiting you just 1 block away, so you will get connected to him, is not just a figment of your fond thinking or your imagination, but it can very well be a reality in the realm of Tyaga of Paramashiva.
Thank you, Ma.
Wonderful, Ma.
I encourage all of the new people out there to just say yes and jump, jump, jump. Say yes any chance you can, because it's the most Tyaga just to say yes. Thank you.
Because when you're saying yes, you are saying a yes to leave your lower identity. That's all you're doing, which is his core avataric mission, to make you say yes to leave your own lower identity so that you can go to your higher identity, which is Paramashiva. It's too beautiful, Ma, the happening of Paramashiva on the planet. The whole thing we can see is centered on Tyaga, ultimate Tyaga from his side, which inspires us to do the Tyaga of leaving our lower level existence. Manitya Prabhananda, we are eager to hear from you, along with Ma Bodhana and Ma Shivananda. You are one of the trio who was personally trained by Bhagavan in all his Tyaga in Ohio, way back in 2007. Go ahead, Ma.
Nithyananda, Ma, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Ma. Yes, you say I'm very, very blessed and honored just to have Swamiji in our life, handpicked and trained for 10. Blessed to experience the gift of Bhagavan, Swamiji, his Tyaga, how he helped humanity. I want to tell everyone in US should go to Ohio temple, our temple, witness the deities that Swamiji personally handcarved, an avatar, his Tyaga for the humanity. Understand, building a temple is not a joke, it's not easy. First, Swamiji, as you said, Ma, he did all the work in India, literally shipped everything other than the banyan tree to the United States and clear the custom, packing, everything, go to the warehouse. Personally, I was there. How Swamiji, his Tyaga is so unlimited, you can't even understand. He went to the warehouse, climbing on the crates, checking on the deities. When we are doing prana pratishta, Swamiji, I learned everything from Swamiji, that a deity should not even have a single little crack on it. So imagine the work that goes behind the packing and shipping and bringing to Los Angeles, from there going to Ohio, the installation of the deity. It literally reminds me like a bird building a nest for 2 years in the US, little by little in Los Angeles. Swamiji trained his devotees, his sannyasis, brought the deities, the jewelries, saris, everything, nitty-gritty, every detail. And for 2 years, he just be there, trained us, come down to our level. Paramashiva, an avatar, came down to our level, and I am so blessed to receive that direct training from Swamiji. He trained, I just want everyone to know, Bhagavan's Tyaga. I was born in an Islamic country. 8 to 10 generations back. I had no clue about my own religion, Hinduism. Here, Swamiji asked, who's passionate about temple? I just raised my hand. He said, Ma, sure, you take care of this temple and ready to give me the space, trust me, to manage the temple in Los Angeles and support the temples in whole North America in year 2007, when I didn't even know the names of the deities.
Ma Prabha, I'm so sorry to interrupt you when you're so beautifully sharing this whole thing, but I want to little further expand here to help the viewers understand better, Ma, which is, when you told about your background and how the moment you put your hand up, Bhagwan immediately so joyfully gave the responsibility to you to man the temple, knowing your background and knowing how far you are from what it takes to manage a temple. Imagine if it was one of us and we had spent our blood and sweat in establishing a temple in the USA when we were in India, and if we were inaugurating it, in whose hands will we hand over the temple for management? We would choose the best in the group because it is my effort. My effort should be taken care by the best person in the group, the best skilled in the group. Yes or no? Whereas here, Bhagavan is so joyfully giving it in your hands, knowing fully well the blood and sweat that he has put into the temple, and knowing that you have no clue about even the names of the items in the temple. I mean, literally, Ma, we have to expand every microsecond in the life of Bhagavan for us to even start understanding the level of Tyaga. And only when we compare him with what we would do under situation, we would even start understanding his Tyaga. Therefore, we have to literally expand every microsecond of each of your sharings, which is why I had to interrupt you, Ma. Please carry on.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you for expanding it to the depth. So I want to again explain that being brought up in an Islamic country, came to the Swamiji, and simply Swamiji says, okay, Ma, you are passionate, please have it. And Swamiji trained me to the detail of, as I said, how to make a wick for the lamp, temple lamp, how to prepare for Arati. And most importantly, he transmit this, what Swamiji is telling now, the alchemy process, literally he transmit that. Let me tell you why I'm telling this. When as Swamiji is training, sitting there patiently, and I'm like clueless, I don't know the name of, when Swamiji say, bring this supply, what name, which deity. Even I didn't have patience with myself. I'm like, God, how many times is teaching me how to tie this turban for the deities? And I'm not getting it. But Swamiji patiently, he was showing and showing. And he made one statement, till today I remember. He said, Ma, be a mother. I was just shocked to hear that statement at that time. I was in my early 30s. Now physically do not have any kids. Never I perceive myself be a mother. That space he transmitted in me, I experienced Swamiji's cosmic mother space. How he holds everyone, how he shares everything. So
Prabha, he was installing not just the temple, he was installing you. He was creating you. And like that, each one of you out there, which is what he's doing every minute. What we perceive is he's installing a temple. No, he first creates the human beings. He first installs himself in the human beings. He gave it to you because he wanted you to grow through it. That is his Tyaga. Never he perceives it as his hard work and which best hands to give it into. He straight away sees your growth into the Paramashivatva there. You realizing the feminine consciousness as Divine Mother. It is just too profound, too touching, and too intricate in the levels of Tyagama. Please go on.
Yes, Swami. So Swamiji's that space he transmitted for the first time after that initiation. So many people who came, understand, from a person who had no clue about names of deities, names of temple rituals, anything about temple. I have been to Hindu temple, just go and pray what I want good job, I want money, and then I come, that's it. But now I'm responsible for the headquarters of Western Hemisphere, headquarters of our temple and Avatar's temple, and also supporting all other temples in North America. A person who had no clue. Here is where Bhagavan's Tyaga, like what you say, Ma, it's all about Swamiji. I've always mentioned this. It's people. He says, people, people, people. It's all about the people. Even now we can see Bhagavan's Tyaga, how he attends to every single devotees. He makes himself available just to make us happy. He will go happy and evolve. He will go his Tyaga to any extent, any hours, and patience that Swamiji has, Ma. I'm telling you, the patience that he has to come down to our level and evolve us to his state. And this day, recently, as Swamiji said, I am going to do prana pratishtha to all of you. As I'm just like, oh my God, what are we going to expect? Because I've seen how Swamiji have done prana pratishtha to the deities, from a statue, just a stone that is carved, come to the temple. Swamiji did the process, infuse life into these deities, and the deity respond to our prayers. The deity smiles. If we relate, Swamiji give that experience. Now I cannot even imagine how Swamiji is going to infuse, do prana pratishtha to all of us. And I'm looking forward for that. Swamiji's Tyaga is for us. He has come for every single one of us. As long we say yes, there is nothing he sees in us. He just sees us a being who's ready. When we say yes, he's there available for us. For me, Swamiji, not only he trained me, Ma, he has healed me from so many conditioning, health issues while I was doing this temple seva. And the way Swamiji trained, I want all of us to hear this, the way Swamiji come and relate with us, so blissful, so joyful, just the mother constantly holding. You can't see any frustration, anything that even I get frustrated with myself. But Swamiji patiently, I didn't know how to offer Naivedyam. I didn't know temple Naivedyam, as my Bodhana said. I used to give noodles, sandwiches. And one day Swamiji said, Ma, how about you give me temple Naivedyams, Ma? Like Pongal, Thait Sadam, Puli Sadam, that's it. Then I started making only these 3 Naivedyams. I didn't even know how to prepare Naivedyam. Not to mention, I didn't even know how to use this Indian Hindu traditional dress sari. I was wearing my jeans and t-shirt doing arati, but Swamiji patiently wait. When I'm evolving, I'm ready. He said, when Swamiji is doing alankar for the deity, for Meenakshi, he teaches every single thing, how to take the sari. Do not have violence, even when you're putting off the arti light. Be in such a loving space. That's why I say he transmit the alchemy process, the initiation happens being around Swamiji. Diksha, being in Swamiji.
Beautifully, you are explaining the details with which, without hurting us, he doing the ultimate Tyaga himself and taking care he's not hurting us or dampening our enthusiasm, where another layer of Tyaga is built for him. It is Tyaga upon Tyaga from his side, where he wants you to have your own experience. He wants you to move to the next level. Still, he does not want to hurt you when he points out something. So, is just multiple layers of Tyaga, so that without any hurt from our side, we move to the next level. For that, he is willing to build on any number of layers of Tyaga upon himself. It's just too intricate and too multi-layered. And Ma, we thank each one of you so much, Ma. As usual, we are always racing against time. It is never enough because it is a story that can never be told. We can only strive to tell it, strive to tell it, strive to tell it. And in that, we ourselves will go to higher levels of existence, which is his avataric mission and purpose. So in our own effort to even try to tell about the Tyaga of Tyagaraja, Paramashiva, our own Tyaga happens because we start unknowingly radiating it. Thank you so much, Manitya Shivananda, Manitya Bodhananda, and Manitya Prabhananda. And thank you so much, each and every one of you who shared on Paramashiva as Tyagaraja today. In the Tyaga of Paramashiva lies our Paramashivatva. The deeper we understand his Tyaga, the sooner we will become Paramashiva himself.